XRP holders, we again got ourselves a quarterly XRP markets report officially from the source at Ripple. And of course, also a billion XRP was again released from escrow for the first time since the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit ended. Did anything special happen? And we've also got some interesting remarks from John Dean, one of the most well-known lawyers in the XRP community, about exactly what hurt Ripple when giving out all these reports. Because again, what this states, this report, is a little update basically about what's going on with XRP. What is the situation looking like? And we are assuming that the SEC used the transparency that Ripple created by posting up these posts, and due to that, basically wrecked themselves completely. Now, you might be asking yourself, Dusty, why are you sitting like that? Why are you putting that leg up just now? Are you trying to flex? I just dropped my lamp. But no, the only reason I did that is because it's actually extremely hot and I'm wearing the full suit and I don't know why. It's not like you're seeing the bottom half, so make sure you press that like button for the commitment. Anyway, let us dive right into the report. So Brad Garlinghouse himself stated this: "We began these reports to voluntarily provide updates given our XRP holdings. Sadly, they were used against us in the SEC lawsuit. However, we remain steadfast in our commitment to transparency, but I suspect they're going to look a bit different moving forward. As again, I don't presume that their institutional sales and things of that sort are going to be included in these reports anymore." Christian Lawrence, and why will make sense in a second, said, "One correction, Brad. When the SEC sued Ripple in 2020, $15 billion in XRP market cap was eviscerated at the expense of US holders. It was actually to all XRP holders. I'm Australian, yet still saw my XRP value decayed because of the SEC's actions." And Brad said, "Hey, you're absolutely correct. We should have caught that. Thank you for pointing it out." Because at the end of the day, guys, the litigious SEC organization is not just hurting investors in the US. No, they're hurting investors worldwide. And so from that perspective, I am happy every single time when I see any sort of link to investigations at the SEC. Chairman of the Oversight Committee, James Comer, has launched an investigation into the SEC's use of the IPA, Intergovernmental Personnel Act, which allows for the temporary hiring of skilled employees. Comer says some of the SEC's hirings of division heads in long-term positions appear to undermine the IPA. And a lot of people are saying, you see, Gensler, get out, you weren't supposed to be there. I'm not going to state that, but what I will say is the SEC has hurt so many investors around the world for the wrong reasons, and I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon. You show transparency, they show hostility. You try to remain in the US, they remain on your ass with force, with penetrable force into your defenses. But let us continue. All right. So, yeah, the Q2 2023 XRP markets report is live. We took a different approach for this quarter and focused on the landmark court ruling, on debunking misconceptions, and on Ripple's XRP holdings. And I liked a certain part in here the most, which mostly was that XRP itself is not a security and that only with Bitcoin is it quote unquote safe over in the United States. With XRP itself not being a security, Ripple's sales of XRP on exchanges or by executives not being securities, a wide range of other XRP distributions to developers, charities, employees not being securities, and I appreciate also that they're not taking the SEC approach of trying to blame everything on the opposite side and try to take victory fully, but also explain to the people watching where exactly you went amiss, where you lost. Certain Ripple sales pursuant to written contracts were investment contracts and therefore securities. And I appreciate that they put that in. They didn't have to. They could have focused only on the positive sides, which again, the SEC tried to do by saying that they won the case. But no, Ripple's being sportsmanlike about it and just fair and literally transparent. So again, they do go a little bit into myth busting though, with the misconception that the decision is a split, decision. Well, no, because XRP got the clarity, so Ripple won. In every way, shape, or form, you want to view that. The decision that it says XRP is a security in some settings and not in others. No, XRP is never a security itself, but you can have certain contracts regarding investments, which could have in theory been with any asset. XRP itself is not the security. 3, a share of stock is always a security, So it makes no sense that certain transactions in XRP are securities and other transactions are not. Well, again, that's why you specifically have investment contract laws, a special type of security separately defined by law, which are, again, investment contracts, and they must be determined on a transaction-by-transaction basis, which is different from a traditional share of stock, which under the law is always a security. Misconception number 4. The decision is wrong because it protects sophisticated institutions but not retail buyers. Well, no, it didn't really say that only institutions should be protected, but the court just noticed this is where the SEC's jurisdiction ends. And the whole situation with us as retail, with just normal XRP holders, is that the SEC didn't really have power over them as of this point because there were no investment contracts. And there is no security, so no Securities and Exchange Commission at that point. Like a hammer, the SEC wants everything to be a nail, or in this case, a security. But the law does not go as far as the SEC would like it to go. So even though the US SEC is trying to protect investors, even though they do not have that power, we as investors have also stated we don't want their protection because at the end of the day, it just keeps wiping out our money. Ripple posted it here. But the SEC's regulation by enforcement campaign was never the right approach to protect anyone. In fact, the SEC's approach has only repeatedly hurt the retail consumer. When the SEC sued Ripple in 2020, $15 billion in XRP market cap was eviscerated at the expense of countless XRP holders. They changed it. I like that. If the SEC was truly lawful cop on the crypto beat, how and why did they miss the FTX debacle? Little shot at them. That's nice. Very nice. If the SEC cared about retail consumers, why did it drive BlockFi into bankruptcy? Very nice, leaving the retail trading holding the bag while the SEC collected fines so it could grab headlines. That is awesome. Well, of course, the SEC's actions were not awesome. The way they've written that is a nice little jab at the SEC. Misconception number 5, the decision makes it impossible for Ripple to do business. Not sure how that makes sense. First of all, basically everything outside of the US is already in the clear, because Japan, Singapore, Switzerland, UAE, UK had already determined that XRP was not a security, so those are already fine anyway. And in addition, one of Ripple's affirmative defenses in the case has always been that even were the court to find that certain sales of XRP constituted an investment contract and therefore a security, those sales may nonetheless be exempt from the registration requirement of the Securities Act for a whole host of reasons, including but not limited to the sophistication of the counterparty to the transaction. The court ruled against Ripple on its fair notice defense is another misconception. Well, mostly they just actually said no on the institutional front only and left open the fair notice defense on all the other type of transactions because the SEC's theories as to the other sales in the case are potentially inconsistent with its enforcement in prior digital asset cases. This provides a roadmap for others in the industry to assert the defense if the SEC makes similar baseless theories, as the SEC moved for summary judgment of Ripple's fair notice defense, which was based, among other things, on internal emails from the SEC, indicating that its then head of corporation finance, William Hinman, ignored multiple warnings that his speech contained analysis divorced from the Howey factors and would create greater confusion. And indeed, this one, all right, this report does not have any, hey, this is how much we sold, this is all that, this, that stuff, which usually every report has. It only explains exactly how much XRP is being held by Ripple and how much is on the escrow account, so how much they still have yet to receive, theoretically speaking, from March 31st and June 30th. So it's a little bit outdated even, but it was actually, changed today to reflect the little change we just mentioned. And to all this, John stated this: it is absolutely true that the SEC used the transparency of these reports against Ripple and its two executives. As a private company, Ripple was under no obligation to share this info. Other companies not only didn't share token sales, but intentionally disguised those transactions. Even though the SEC and others used this info against Ripple, the transparency prevented the SEC from attempting to assert bogus fraud, misrepresentation, or manipulation charges, which, let's face it, would have been, if it could have, would have been put on there. When you're transparent, they can't claim fraud even when they want to. And on that note, this is something we're going to be diving into a little bit later today. Today, I'm not sure why I said it that way. And by the way, if you've not done it yet, make sure you press that like button. You don't have anything to lose, right? But in reality, many people are thinking that the Ripple case didn't really change too much, but really, in reality, it did. It changed everything for Ripple. And that's because even though a small part of their business was in the US, I think a lot of companies outside the US were still looking at whatever was happening with Ripple, whatever was happening with XRP, because that's the same way I see it. I am based in a country, the UAE, where XRP was officially already fine. So I could be holding my XRP, nothing would happen to it. But yet I was still thinking, what is the US going to say about XRP? And I think a lot of people were thinking about it that way, but so, more importantly, were a lot of these other companies. And there was always this uncertainty of Ripple potentially losing and it shutting down their business in the US or something bad happening. The point being here, the fact that they've now won, they need to still do some clearing up. And I still think some lingering pressure in the world right now is these regulatory fronts where we don't know what other cryptos might be sued next, and perhaps for the entire crypto market climate that's bad, or perhaps the staking section, perhaps that's going to be a little bit of a shell shock basically to the entire market, or perhaps the whole situation with Hex as that expands, or potentially like with Coinbase, Binance, they go for a full-on sweep of more cryptos over the next couple of days, weeks. I'm just saying, I personally think this was huge for Ripple, and the floodgates have opened. They can finally start accumulating now. And like Monica Long from Ripple says, they're re-engaging with a lot of the US market right now as they finally got the approval on everything, but it will take time. And I do believe there might be some hiccups that we could have not predicted that we still might face relatively shortly. Does that mean I'm not so bullish on XRP? No, I'm extremely bullish, guys. You all know that, so there's no question about that. But I am thinking about this very often. What exactly is going to be the next catalyst? Is it going to be Bitcoin? Well, I'd say so. Is it going to be the United States just absolutely crashing down, or the dollar crashing down? What's going to be the next wave for crypto to come on up? And that's something we'll be discussing a little bit later today in the video. So guys, make sure you put that notification bell on so you're back on the channel every single time something important is uploaded. You got to understand, sometime, all right, at some point, there will be something extremely important that you wanted to get the notification bell in for. You can always skip the video, but you can never turn back time. And just so we're all on the same page with regards to the 1 billion XRP, because a lot of you guys might be wondering, well, it didn't really do anything with the price. And Ripple, as far as I've read here, kept 200 million XRP and put 800 million back into escrow for, again, another 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years, I don't remember. If you really want to, you can always take a look at it for yourself to see the transactions or actually see escrows over on Bithumb or whatever XRP scanner you might use. You see they received 500 million and then put 500 million right back into escrow on this specific account. And there was also one really funny transaction a little bit ago worth 400 million XRP, unless it's spoofed in some way, shape, or form, but I don't think it can be that way. But this is the escrow execution. Sedan is now Lambo. Tepid Jam is now Hot Jam. DAI's rat is caught on the moose trap now. Will Jeremy H's broken doc and hacked Twitter account be fixed? Will the party become a proper party? Will the revolution be televised? As a side, David is the secret sauce, a tepid sauce, or a hot sauce? Now, for the most part, I don't know what any of that means, but it was kind of funny that that had to do with the escrow execution. And it's the first time that I've seen, but people are saying it's not the first time, but it's the first time that I've seen such a text as a memo, which is really funny. But yeah, that's about it. Make sure you put the notification on, and I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.